Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 3 Coastal Farmhouse Easter DIYs for you using supplies from the Dollar Tree and Dollar Spot. And here is a sneak peek of what I came up with. I have bunnies, I have eggs, and I have another really large bunny. And let me show you how I put all these fun DIYs together. Okay, the first one I wanted to do like a seagrass bunny shelf sitter to sit on my shelf. So I'm going to use one of these little tote bags that I just got at the Dollar Spot at Target for $5. It is kind of large. That's why I spent $5 on it, because it's got lots of material, and it kind of reminds me of like the seagrass that I like to decorate with for coastal. But if you can't find it, or if you don't want to spend that much, you could always use these little ones from the Dollar Tree and just kind of piece them together. But I wanted like a large piece to cover a bunny. So what we're going to use to make this bunny today is just some foam board from the Dollar Tree. And I know about how long my bag is, and so I'm just going to kind of draw a line there so I know not to make my bunny any taller than that. Now I'm just going to use one of these little bunnies I had laying around from one of the signs at the Dollar Tree for kind of a shape. I want to kind of do like a peep shape bunny. So I'm just using my Sharpie and I'm just freehanding. And it's okay if you don't get it right. Like that is totally not symmetrical. Just keep drawing and try to get it symmetrical. You could always print out a pattern if you don't think you can freehand it. But as long as you get it fairly symmetrical, it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out that foam board. And I'm just going to use some heavy duty scissors and start cutting out this bunny with my foam board. And you can see it's not perfect, but when I cut it, I'm going to try to cut it as symmetrical as I can. Now this is going to give me the structure for the bunny. And the reason that I went ahead and made it like this is because I couldn't find any signs at the Dollar Tree that were kind of shaped the way that I wanted. But you could always use a sign from the Dollar Tree or like one of their cages underneath maybe for this as well if you don't want to use the foam board. So my ears are not very symmetrical, so I'm just going to kind of try to cut those out the best that I can. And this is not going to be visible, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter that there's Sharpie lines on it because it's all going to be covered up. So my plan is to cover this with that seagrass material from that bag from the Dollar Spot. And so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of see how much fabric I need. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out a piece of that fabric. I cut off the bottom first, and then I'm just going to kind of cut out a panel of it. And I'm going to go ahead and save the rest. I'm only going to use this on the front of my bunny because I want to save it because it was kind of expensive for $5. And cutting off the handle. The handle ends up being kind of in a bad place for me, so I do have to go ahead and try to take that all off with the sewing that's on there. I just go ahead and snip all the little strings until I can get that to pop off because it was like right where I needed one of my bunny ears to be. And no sweat. I just cut the little strings until it was released. Okay, now let's cover this bunny with this material. The first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw the shape of the bunny on my little seagrass material with my Sharpie. What I do is I just sketch around it and make it a little bit larger because I want the fabric to cover and possibly go around the edges of my bunny. And what I want to make is a bunny to stand on my shelf for Easter. So once I have that sketched out, I'm just going to go ahead and use my scissors, my fabric scissors, and go around and cut out the shape of the little bunny. I thought it would be easier to go ahead and cut this material first before I attach it to my foam board. I will go ahead and use the side that I drew on with the writing on it on the inside, so you won't be able to see that part. And then I also want to cover the back of my bunny. I don't want to use the seagrass because it's super expensive, so I'm going to go ahead and use just some burlap fabric that I got at Walmart. You can use whatever you have, but it's going to look way better if you have a finished back on your bunny. So I used that seagrass pattern to draw on a similar pattern on my burlap. And then I'm just going to go in and cut out the back piece of our little peep-shaped bunny as well. I want this to look like the back of the bunny. So I just wanted a simple little bunny shape of a little bunny standing up. And this is how I plan to put it together. I'm going to sandwich that little foam board piece in between my two pieces of fabric. So it's time to attach. I'm just going to do that with some hot glue kind of all around on my foam board. And I'm going to lay that face down on my seagrass bunny. Super easy. Just kind of make sure that it is lined up fairly well. And then there's some extra fabric to go around the edges. I found it wasn't, there was a little bit too much foam here at the bottom, so I just trimmed that piece up. And then we can go ahead and cover the back of our bunny with that burlap. So same thing, we're just going to attach it with hot glue. I'm going to kind of do this one a piece at a time to make sure that I get it on there as good as I can for maximum coverage. And I also do some glue around the edges so that it is all sealed inside our little like new fabric bunny there. So just working one piece at a time and hot gluing this material to the bunny. Now all I have left is to go around and clean up all of that excess burlap that's kind of, you know, fraying and peeking around the sides and giving me a more finished bunny shape. I was kind of hoping I could kind of leave it here at this step, but it did look a little rough around the edges. And so I am going to go in and finish the sides a little bit more than just the two fabrics coming together there, just to give it a more finished look. So I thought I would use some of this decorative nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and just go ahead and glue that around the outline of the bunny. It's going to give another nice little coastal touch, and it really finishes off the edges of this little bunny nicely. So I'm just going to work one section at a time and using my hot glue, just attaching that rope to the bunny. I think this gave it that final touch that it really needed, and it really makes it stand out that it's a little bunny shape sitting on the shelf. The only place that was a little tight was here between the ears. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this piece off after I cover the first bunny ear so that I will have enough room to get my second piece in there in that little space between the ears. And I really like how this shape turned out. I think it really looks cute for the back of a bunny to stand on my shelf for Easter. I really hope you're enjoying these DIYs today. If you are, please take a moment to hit that like button. It really helps my videos get to more people. And after you've watched all of my videos today, I would really appreciate it if you would leave a comment below of your favorite DIY or just say hi. I always love to read all of your comments. So I just glued that piece in the best that I could fit it in there and then just continuing around the bunny. I'm not going to go ahead and do the bottom of the bunny yet because I have to figure out a way to make this bunny stand up, which shouldn't be too hard since it's so light, since it's made out of the foam board and the fabric. So just working around until I get to this end, and then I can cut off the rope. And I really love that touch to the bunny. I think it turned out really cute. Okay, so I need a base for a bunny. I'm going to use one of these heavy-duty long wood signs from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to cut off a piece of it. I'm a little longer than my bunny. And this one's blue, which is a perfect color. And so I'm not even going to bother painting it. What I did is just cut it with my saw, and then I cut off the end too so that both ends kind of matched. And it's the perfect color for my coastal decor. So I'm just going to go with it. So I'm just kind of thinking how I can attach this. And I feel like I really need something to glue it to. So I'm just going to use one of these like hot dog skewers from the Dollar Tree for a dowel. And just cut one a little smaller than my bunny. Something that I can glue to the base there. That will kind of go inside the structure of my bunny. And give me something to glue it to. So once I cut it to size, I'm just going to attach that to my wood base with some hot glue. And then put more hot glue on top of that. And then kind of sit my bunny on there. That's gluing that dowel to the foam bunny that was inside the two pieces of material. And then the material can kind of go on the outside of that little dowel. And then to further reinforcement, I thought I would use some more of that rope that I used to outline it and cut out a piece that would outline the bottom of the shape of the bunny. And then I'm just going to use hot glue to attach that too. And that's going to make it even stronger. Then for a little bit more stability, I do turn it around and I do the same thing with the rope on the bottom, on the back, just attaching that with hot glue as well. And we have this adorable little coastal bunny for Easter. Now, the only thing I have left is I thought that we should try to decorate this. So I wanted a little bunny tail, and I'm just going to use a pom-pom I had left over from Target from last year. It was like in a little Easter decorating kit, but you can use whatever you have, or you can even make one. This one is made out of like white yarn. And so I'm just going to attach that where the little bunny tail would be on the front of our little bunny. And I think that looks really cute. But I wanted to give it a little bit more decoration. So I'm going to use some of this Happy Easter ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to tie a simple little bow here with that fabric. It's not the same color of blue, but that's okay. I like to use several different colors of blue with my coastal decorating in my house. And if you weren't doing a coastal theme, you can do whatever color you want for the base and the bow, and it's going to match your decor perfectly. So just kind of cutting that to size. And I'm just going to decorate one of his little bunny ears. I'm going to attach our little bow with some hot glue. And then I thought maybe the little end should be a little bit shorter. And for the final touch, I'm going to glue on a little starfish that I got on Amazon. I can post a link below for those. Just on top of the bow, trying to figure out which way it would look the best. And I'm just going to attach that with some hot glue. And our first DIY is complete today. We have this little seagrass, a bunny to sit on my shelf. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so cute. What do you think? I'm going to use this to decorate my shelves. Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use some of this nautical rope cotton from the Dollar Tree. This is a thicker one, and some plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to go ahead and cut the plastic off the end of the rope, and then I'm going to go and I am going to unwind this entire piece of rope. The way I like to unwind the rope is to kind of take one piece off, and then there'll only be two pieces together, and then continue to unwind it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera. And what I want to do is have just the individual pieces of the rope. And we are going to make some rope eggs using these plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree. These are the larger plastic eggs that I could find at the Dollar Tree. And I just start with some hot glue right there in the middle of one end, and I glue it down. And I'm just going to keep winding that around and wrapping this entire egg. It takes these cheap plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree and makes them look like $1,000,000. So I am using a lot of hot glue just kind of a couple sections at a time so that it will stay close and tight and it won't like lose any of the structure of the egg. And sometimes I'll put like enough hot glue on there to kind of wind a couple pieces at a time, kind of depending on how I'm going. But I want to keep that rope tight wound so that you can't see any of the orange plastic egg underneath. And this is such an easy way to make these plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree look really coastal. So I keep working until I make it all the way around. One piece of that rope is plenty long enough to cover an entire egg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and cover 4 of these plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree with this rope for a little shelf egg display for my Easter. So once I get it fully covered, I'm just going to snip off the end and glue down that last piece in there to fill up any plastic still showing. And we have our little rope egg. And then I'm going to just do the same thing here with all 4. And we're going to have 4 little rope eggs for my Easter display. Aren't they cute? They kind of turn out, they're not super white. They take on that color of the rope, so they're kind of like more like an ivory color. Now that I have my 4 rope eggs, I need something to display them in, and check out this grass that I found at the thrift store. I'm thinking this was probably really expensive when someone bought it, but I got a wonderful deal. I got this for like $2 at the thrift store, and it's in a galvanized metal tub, which is perfect, but I thought I would give it even more of a coastal touch with some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out a piece that's long enough, but it's a little too thick and I don't want it to cover up all my galvanized metal. So I'm just going to kind of trim this burlap to size, about how big I want it. And you can see the lines on the burlap, so it's easy to cut a straight line on this. And we're just going to cut off that piece and simply attach that to the front of our galvanized metal sign. I don't know. I guess you could try to make some of this grass if you can't find any. But I love the idea of hiding the little Easter eggs in the grass. And this was definitely a great find at my thrift store. So I'm just going to kind of wrap that around and cut that to size and glue that down. And this is where we're going to hide our little rope Easter eggs for my Easter display. Just going to hot glue down the end and kind of just keep it on there with the pressure of having it wrapped around. Then I'm going to put my eggs inside. Just kind of like having them go different directions, like they're actually like sitting in the grass, nice and hidden. And if you don't have grass, you could always display these in like an Easter basket or whatever you have. I did want to add one more coastal touch to this project, so I'm going to add one of these smaller sand dollars that I also get on Amazon just to the front of the burlap there. And this DIY is complete. So easy. And I love how these little rope eggs look. I think they're so cute. Okay, are you ready for our last DIY? We are going to do a rope bunny for the wall. This turned out so cute. It's really large. It's almost 3 feet, and it's such a great Easter display for my house. To begin with, we're going to use the bunny shaped wreath form from the Dollar Tree and this particular rope from the Dollar Tree. This is the thinner white. It's like 11 feet long, and we're going to need a lot of rope today. I think I use a total of 5 packages for a bunny, because it's not just going to be the bunny head. You could do that if you'd like, but I'm going to do a whole bunny with this rope. So I am just going ahead and starting right here in between the 2 bunny ears. And what we're going to do today is we're going to weave this through the pattern. So I went over the first one, under the center one, and then over the outside. Come back in, and on the next row I will go over that middle bar, and we are going to weave the round structure of this bunny wreath. I have a different plan for its ears, but I love a woven wreath with rope. I think it turns out so cute. Since this is 11 foot long, when you first start a rope, it gets a little squirrely like that. If you have it, it gets a little twisted. So you kind of have to exercise some patience on that. But once you get working with it, it gets way easier to weave that through. And so again, now I'm going to start like I did the first one, where I go under that middle part. And we are just going to weave it around in that pattern. You will be able to see a little bit of the metal structure of the bunny here and there, but that kind of adds to the appeal. I have seen some people just wrap it with a rope, and you could do that too. But I think it looks kind of like a macrame woven look that you're going to get if you do it this way. But you could do it whatever way you want. You could even go around in circles with a thicker rope and just do one on each one of the rings. So many ideas for this, but we're going to do woven. Now, when you have a little section that is got the little crossbars, I like to push it as tight as I can so that my weave structure stays really tight. And then I can start working on the next section. The great thing about using this thinner 11-foot rope from the Dollar Tree is that it goes pretty far on the bunny head. The bunny head reform from the Dollar Tree is not real big, and that's why when I get it done, I want to go ahead and make it bigger. So you'll see that as well, how I did that with Easter DIY materials from the Dollar Tree. So I finished that section and got it as tight as I can, and I'm just going to keep working until I run out of rope on this first piece. And you just got to take your time on this, put on a good song, put on a YouTube video that you want to watch or something, and weave away. That's how far one piece goes, and so I'm just going to use hot glue to attach both the beginning and the end to the back of our wreath. And I'm going to go ahead and hot glue on a new rope and continue weaving all the way around the circle of our bunny. I really love how this project turned out. I think it's my favorite one today. And when I get up here to the end, I try to make the pattern make sense, like it keeps going from one to the next, so you can't really see like the transition in between, and cut off my remaining rope and hot glue that down. Now for the bunny ears, I have a different idea. I thought I would cover it with wood beads. So I'm just using some pliers, and I'm trying to break off my bunny ear from the structure, at least on one side. I want to leave the other side attached. I found the best way was kind of like just rocking it back and forth until it broke away. And then I'm going to use some of these wood beads that I got this fall at the Dollar Tree for the ears, but you can use whatever you want. You can definitely get wood beads on Amazon, fairly inexpensive. I'm not going to bother painting them or anything. I think they're almost the same color as the rope from the Dollar Tree, and so I think that's going to be a fun touch to our bunny. Now, to get it to go over the middle part of the ear there, what I'm going to have to do is just bend my bunny ear open more until I can get the little wood beads to pass over the little bump on the top of the ear. And we're just going to use those wood beads to cover the whole thing. So just beading along. And I'm really glad I did the wood beads because it added like just another fun touch to this DIY. But you could always do rope as well. You could wrap it with like the unrolled rope, or you could just glue rope around the structure of the bunny. I just really wanted this project to have as much detail as I could, and so each part of the bunny is definitely interesting. When I get it all beaded, I just need to reattach that metal bunny ear back to the metal wreath form. I'm going to do that there on the back of our wreath and just hot glue that down. Also hot gluing the last wood bead to the rope there to give it some more stability. And once I get it dry, I go in with a little bit more hot glue to make sure that it's glued on there nice and strong. Now we can start working on our other bunny ear. And we are going to do the same thing over here. I found it was easier to disconnect the bunny ear like on the outside there where I could get to it. And just rocking it back and forth until it disconnects. And that pulls off the entire piece. And opening up that bunny ear, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cover it all with wood beads until it's completely covered. I did have a little more trouble getting it over the little bend piece on this one than I did the first one because these wood beads are fairly small. It would look good with any size, I think, wood bead that you put on there though. And you could even do color wood beads if you want like a different look. And I have that all done, so I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that to my wreath form like I did before. Now I wanted my bunny to be larger, so I'm also going to use the egg wreath form from the Dollar Tree and some more of that same rope from the Dollar Tree. And we are going to give our little bunny a body. I thought it would look like, you know, kind of like a peep-shaped bunny. It's not going to have like any legs, but I just kind of want like a bigger statement for my wall because that bunny head was fairly small. Now, the only thing I was concerned about is this has 4 rows of wire instead of 3 like our first one did. And I've never done this weave pattern on 4 before. But you know what? It works exactly the same as if I would have been doing it on 3. I just go back and forth and weave it and then go around the end. And look, see, you can do the same thing. It doesn't matter that there's an even number of wires. And so I am going to weave this entire thing. I would say it was probably a little bit more work than the first one, because you have to go over the extra piece of wire. And I'm just going to go ahead and weave away. I really love doing this. I think it's really fun. It kind of gives you, the feeling that you're knitting or doing macrame or something with your hands. And your arms are definitely tired at the end of it, but it's so worthwhile because it turns out so cute. So this is how far one piece of the rope took us on this first one. So I'm going to try to weave it as tight as I can. And then go ahead and glue both ends down. And we can start working on our second piece of rope. Now when you're doing this, just make sure that you have the same diameter of rope that you're using on each one. Otherwise, you're definitely going to be able to tell. I look at them and make sure they're the same length when I buy them. These were the 11-foot rope, and I made sure to buy quite a few because I knew it was going to take a lot to do this project. So that is how far our second rope took us. We still have quite a bit of the egg left to cover there. So we're going to go ahead and start the third package. So total of 5 packages to make this a 3-foot bunny. It's almost 3-foot bunny for my wall. It would look really cute on a door too if you have a colored door for your house. I have a white door, so it wouldn't really stand out really well, but I do have brown walls, so it's definitely going to look really cute. I have it in the entryway of my house, and I just love how this rope bunny turned out. So finishing up our last piece of rope there, and just like before, I want it to kind of continue the same pattern, beginning to end there, so you can't tell where I started and where I stopped. Cutting it and gluing down our last piece. Now I want to make a bunny tail. I wanted a really large bunny tail, so I'm going to use some of this jute cord that I get in the big roll from Walmart. You can use whatever you have, but this is a nice thick piece of jute, and I want to make a giant pom-pom. I didn't think my hand would be big enough, so I'm just using a container of something, a cleaner that I had sitting around. And I'm just going around and around and around and around with that rope until I have a really nice bunch of rope, really thick. And then I just kind of take it off and tie it off. It's so thick, I really had to kind of pull hard to tie that rope together. Trim off the edges, and we're going to have a giant pom-pom. All we got to do is cut all of this jute twine on both ends. Anywhere I see a loop, I'm just cutting that off. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This is going to give me a great coastal bunny tail because it's brown and looks much coastal, but it is really big. It really stands out on this piece. And I'm just kind of arranging it around. It doesn't turn out like super round because it's not like super soft like yarn. But once I attach it to my egg, it definitely does look like a pom-pom. So I just kind of pull back one side, and I'm going to use a bunch of hot glue here to attach it to my rope wreath right here at the bottom. And look at that bunny tail. I love how it turned out. It looks a little wild, so I do go in with my scissors and kind of trim up any of the pieces that are like a little bit longer than the others until I get it looking the way that I like it. But I really love that technique for a giant bunny tail for our rope bunny for the wall. Now I just need to attach the head to the body of our bunny. I'm just going to use a thin twine from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in the top of my egg part here, the pointy part, and tie that off to the frame of the bunny. Then I'm going to kind of find the center of our bunny head and kind of push the rope to the side so I can get the twine in there. And I'm going to tie that together like that. It's going to give me just a very loose connection between the two of them, but that it will hang together nicely on the wall, and tying that off on the back and cutting off the excess twine. It's so cute. I thought it needed a little bow around its neck, so I thought I would use just some of this brown rope from the Dollar Tree, the thinner kind of tie it off to the side, and I'm just going to tie a simple bow because this is the back of the bunny, so I kind of wanted the bow to be just like on the side of its neck. I'm not going to decorate its ear or anything like that. It has so much details going on this bunny that it looks great as it is. And here it is. You can see how large it is on my wall. It is so cute. I love the rope bunny. Okay, are you ready for the final reveal? Thank you for watching, everyone. Happy Easter.
Always think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air at that time. Don't know why. Always dream of you when spring comes. It's like the heat on my skin takes me back to the time met you on a Friday, halfway out at the door of the club, playing soul on the weekends, stayed in bed till Wednesday, fell in love with you right there and then. I was young, couldn't see that.